Good morning, good morning. It is 5:30 in the morning on a Saturday. Wipe that sleep right out of your eyes, boys and girls. It's time to draw. All right, today we're going to draw every day at 5:30 in the morning. We draw something. Today we're going to draw. Well, good morning, Ivy. No, we're not going to draw Ivy. Uh, Today, what am I doing here? Today we're going to draw this little gnome playing an accordion. We're going to draw this little gnome playing an accordion. We have drawn a gnome-s, which is the official term for a female gnome. However, even though it's the official term for a female gnome, I find it interesting that none of the spell checkers recognize gnome-s as the actual phrase. Do a little composition here, make sure there's room for my little guy on my page, which I'm sure there is, because he's just a little guy. As my daughter would say, he's just a little guy. So yeah, we just do a little quick composition there, make sure we have room for the shadows. Make sure we have everything we need, all the space we need. And we can start putting some markers in here. So we did a pretty deep dive on the history of gnomes when we talked about the gnome-s a few weeks ago. And the interesting thing about that was that until, I think it was until the 50s, 60s, there was no such thing as a female gnome. No mention, no depiction, no nothing until the 1950s. That was the takeaway, the most interesting thing about that. Gnomes are, the discussion of little mountain spirit people that are either helpful or tricksters depending on your intentions in the woods. They have been, that story has been around for centuries. But gnomes in this particular style have only been around since the 19th century. Renaissance. They're in the 19th century is not right. They're from the Renaissance, but the 19th century is when they started taking on this particular style, the little Nissa or Tomta style gnomes, which is I think that's Swiss. I think that's Swiss. Where I don't know if Elizabeth or Claudia will be able to join us today. I'm not sure if they speak Swiss or not, or if that's anything close to Dutch, but or if Nissa and Tomta are Dutch. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's one of those times where I've only ever. Hello. Okay. my mother hung up and had to call me back. Anyway, all that to say the domes have been around for a very long time. This is the Scandinavian style gnome. Ivy had a busy day yesterday, fell asleep early, woke up an hour ago, and went, gnome! Got to stay up for that. So she's excited about gnomes. Claudia was excited about gnomes too. I wonder if she'll make it today. I think she's still in Spain. She went to stay with a girlfriend in Spain. So I'm really happy you're here, Ivy. I'm glad that you can join us for the gnome. Glad that you can join us for the gnome drawing. Perspective on this accordion is Claudia is in Spain, but she is watching. I hope you're exposing your friend to us. I hope your friend is like, what are you watching? And you're like, no, you got to see this guy. He's drawing a gnome. The perspective on this accordion is tough. Because what I want to do is not what's really there. So I have to make sure that the perspective does what it really does and not what I want it to do. So he's playing a special kind of accordion. Since we're brought up his accordion, he's playing a very special kind of accordion. He's playing what's called a concertina. And I love them. I want one so bad. But he's playing a concertina, which is funny because accordions weren't invented until 1829. And they were invented in 1829 in Vienna by Cyril Dempin in Vienna. And so our little Renaissance era 19th century gnome would not have been exposed to a concertina. Concertinas weren't invented until 10 years later in England by Charles Wheatstone. And both of them are derivative of the harmonica. The harmonica is from years earlier. But I think it's interesting how I love his beard. I'm jealous of his beard. His beard and his mustache, the way his little mustache curls up at the end. Sorry, I got distracted by the stylizations of our gnome here. But I think it's interesting that in order for us to perceive him as an ancient character, we've given him what we perceive as an ancient instrument, and that instrument is not that old. This instrument is only about 200 years old. And I think it's funny because you see it a lot in fantasy. You see a lot of fantasy creatures whipping out their concertina and playing and dancing a little jig. You see a lot of fantasy. My mom's telling me my dad wants a concertina also. You see it a lot in fantasy. You see a lot of pirates. You see a lot of pirate ships. The characters whipping out a concertina and the characters dancing on the deck with no women. You see that trope a lot. And yet the time period they're depicting is supposed to be a very long time ago. Way before the actual invention of the concertina. Way before the invention of the concertina. All right, I think that's all the pencil work I'm going to do. I think if I continue on with the pencil work, I'll get too involved in the detail. We got 7 people watching. I show 7 people watching, but I only see Ivy and Claudia and my mom chatting. My dad's in the background telling my mom what to type. Tell him I want one too. I do. I want a concertina. My dad doesn't sound like that, by the way. That's just my general. Somebody in the background talk. Hey. I am jealous of this little cat's beard mustache, though. Took me a very long time to grow a beard. You see, I have this long flowing beard, and I get a lot of comments on my beard. But I couldn't grow a beard until I was in my 40s. And now they're like, you need to trim that up, shave it off. No, took me too long to get it. Keeping it. And I'm jealous of this little guy's thick beard mustache. And it's wrong to have beard envy of a toy. Do. But one thing is true about the trope of pirates having concertinas on their ship is that sailors really did like the concertina because you could just clamp it together and clip it to your belt. My mom says it's a Zachary beard. Zachary's my oldest son, and he has a beard just like this, and I am jealous. But sailors really did keep a concertina, enjoy the concertina because again it was something you could keep clipped to you, and it was very portable, easy to carry around, easy to play. And it's just a little accordion box with buttons on each side that they play like. I'm sure you've seen one in movies. But the sailors are what made them super popular with travelers and campers. Can't talk parting. Hohner, Hohner, the Hohner Company started marketing harmonicas and concertinas and accordions in the 1850s. And one of the things that they did, especially with harmonicas and concertinas, one of the things that they did that was brilliant that had never really been done before was they put a little music book, instructional music book, that told you what buttons to push and how to pump the box, if you will, to get specific songs. Harmonica is the same way, which hole to blow into or inhale through to get specific songs. And they printed little books and put them in the packaging with the instrument. And made them instantly popular because kids could buy them and instantly be able to play Jingle Bells or not Old Folks Home, or I forget the name of that song that everybody plays, and then Chariots of Fire. Oh wait, no, that's me. I play Chariots of Fire on the harmonica. Anyway, they put Ode to Joy. They put music in the box. Very simplified sheet music in the box, in the packaging, so that people could just right out of the box start playing. And that was a new idea, and it made them very popular, especially with kids wanting to learn how to play the harmonica like their favorite cowboy in the movies. Cowboys were always playing harmonicas on the trail ride, or concertinas or anything like that. They were always playing stuff like that on the trail ride. We forgot to spritz the watercolor. In the old westerns. But my experience with cows would tell me that a cow would be spooked if you played a harmonica on a trail ride. Last thing you want to do on a trail ride is do something that's going to spook the cows. To me, seems like a very bad idea. Get a little indigo, a little midnight blue. We get a little cobalt blue, a little more midnight blue, and a touch of black, just a touch of black, just a little more black. And that should make us a nice shadow. Let's make it nice and wet so that it's not. All right, yeah. I may have told you this before, but this is my favorite part of the whole painting process. It's the grisaille. And I don't even know how to say the word properly. I've only ever seen it in print. But it's the part where you do the grayscale painting. It's the part where you do the grayscale painting of the shadows. I love this part. To me, this is the part that brings the image to life. Do 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 do. But yeah, all the cowboy movies had somebody whipping out a harmonica on the trail. All the campfire scenes. Mighty fine harp playing you got going on there. Of course, there were prison scenes too, but you know we're not going to emphasize those. That parents should really be encouraging kids to be like the prisoners, but do do. Can't talk, Artie. Yeah, has anybody tracked how many times I say that in a show? I bet I say that a lot. Can't talk, party. Do do. All right, I think that does that very well. Now let's give him a shadow out here. Ivy says I can badly play the harmonica, and Claudia says I can play a lot badly, Ivy. Me too. Me too. One of my favorite Bible verses, Psalm 100, and it says to make a joyful noise unto the Lord. But nowhere in the book does it say make a pretty noise. Does it say you have to make a pretty noise? It says make a joyful noise. and I ran with that idea ever since I learned it. Nowhere in the book does it say make a pretty noise. All right. I think that's right. It's intent and enthusiasm. There's a TikTok that I follow where this guy plays guitar backup for his trombone playing wife, and he'll play the most beautiful intro on the guitar for her to pick up the melody with the trombone. And the minute she picks up the trombone and starts, she's like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yes, yes, support your wife. I like this little sketchbook. It's it's good for a lot of things. It doesn't do well. You can see the warping on the back over here. It doesn't do well with a flood though. When you flood the page so that you can spread a color around, a pigment around, it doesn't do very well with that. But it takes it takes quite a bit of it takes quite a bit of pigment. So I do like this. I do like this sketchbook for this. It's done better than I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be when I first moved into this sketchbook after the last watercolor sketchbook. I kind of thought this was going to be a challenge to make this thing, to be able to use this thing. But no, it's been a pretty good sketchbook, and it's just a little. I tell you the brand. It just says Field Sketchbook, and I got it from Amazon. It just says Field Sketchbook, and I have a bunch of them. Of course, they're not within reach where I can see the packaging, but I have a bunch of them, and I really kind of like it. I just thought I'd take a minute there and tell you that I'm impressed with the way this thing worked out. I don't know if you were around when we changed into this one. Like I said, I just wasn't all that convinced it was going to be a good idea. But it's really turned out to be a pretty good sketchbook. But the only thing, like I said, the only downside is you can't just flood the page with water and move pigment around. And if you try to scrub the pigment, the paper beads up on you. You get those little balls of paper. Do 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 do. I think that's true. I mean, you look at the guy that went on to. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm having a conversation with my mom in my ear. my my mom is repeating what Ivy said in that if you do anything with enthusiasm, people will cheer you. And I harken back to the guy that was on uh, American Idol, the little Asian cat that was on American Idol that just got up there and sang his little heart out and made it to the semifinals because the people were just cheering him on, and he was horrible. He was horrible, but the people were cheering him on because he was having such a good time doing it. So I think that's true, Ivy. If you do it with enthusiasm, people will watch you and cheer you on. That's what I'm banking on here. I just show up every day with enthusiasm. What he lacks in talent, he makes up for in enthusiasm. I used to counter that on my art journal page. I would counter that with subliminal baby. I had a, my son was an infant. My daughter was very young, and my son was an infant when I did that art journal page, and when I did those art journal pages. And I would about halfway through the show, I would pick the kids up, and I would just show them underneath the camera a couple of times. Yeah, my mom's laughing because he's twice my size now. I wouldn't be able to do it now, but I used to just pick the kids up and tuck them under the camera for view. And the premise of that was, you know, people watching at home, watching the video, going, "What is this? What is this guy on the? This guy's art is horrible. Why are we even watching? Oh, look, a baby! Oh, look at that cute little baby! Honey, come in here and look at this cute little baby." and and they would keep watching for a minute, just to see the baby. I would like to see the baby. Yeah, but you're right. I couldn't do it now. My mom's in my ear. You can't do that now. You're absolutely right. He's twice my size. Maybe I could do it with my oldest son. With I could at least do it with the younger kids if my oldest son helped. My oldest son is like 6'4", 300 pounds, 400 pounds. Huge, huge mountain of a man. He's a huge mountain of a man. My youngest son is like 6'3", 6'4". My daughter is 5'10". I think she's 5'10". Let me draw this real quick and we can ink it. How are we doing on time? Oh, goodness, we're running along. My daughter is 5'9". My youngest daughter. And my oldest daughter is like 4'8". No, she's 5'5" or something like that. 5'4", 5'3", somewhere around in there. We tease her about being 4'8". She's 5'3" or 5'4". We just tease her about being 4'8" because when we take family pictures, we have to angle the camera just right, or we'll only get her from the nose up. Claudia's in the chat saying she's only here to see me dance. Because I dance at the end of every episode. It's 6 o'clock. We're running just a little bit long. I know it's 6 o'clock because I can hear my mother's alarm going off. Yep, Ivy just comes for the paint drying. I'm going to have to put my mom on speaker. You guys miss all the hilarity that happens on the phone with my mom. It's especially funny when she gets tickled. And she's just laughing in my ear, and she can't stop laughing. Yeah, especially when she's been up most night. My wife and kids drove to Oklahoma last night. They have a funeral to attend, which is no fun, so it's not a pleasant trip, but I'm glad to know that they made it safely. My mom's talking in my ear about being up most of the night. I was up most of the night waiting to hear to make sure they made it safely, because they decided to drive after my wife had been up all day long at her day job. And that always worries me. But they made it safely. All right. You guys probably couldn't see me do any of that because I probably had my big old fat head right in the camera, tucked over. If you ever decide to do something like this and you want to sell it or make prints or anything like that, it's important not to put your thumb in the paint and then touch the page. I just would like you to note it's important not to do that. All right, what is today? Today is the 16th, August. Yeah, my mom says that lets you know it's an original. It's an original. I like them big. I like them round. Yeah, I love that. We love that song, Ivy. All right, so there is my Gnome with the photo reference. She says, this Gnome is definitely a fat 9. I like them big. I like them juicy. We sing that song all the time. I drove to Amsterdam. Claudia says she drove to Amsterdam for her flight at 3 a.m. and their oldest behind the wheel. Glad he was safe at home at 6:23. My daughter is supposed to be learning to drive, and I made the suggestion that she should drive last night, and she's not having any of it. She said, no, no, no. I said, if there will be long stretches of highway with nobody on them, you could have some fun. You could go speedy, speedy. All right. There is the Gnome from my perspective. So that is what I did today. The little girl has pulled some canisters for me for the next couple of days. I wonder what that could be. Let's see. Let's see. It's an apple. Dun, dun, dun. It's an apple. So this is what we're going to draw tomorrow. Tomorrow, Sunday the 17th, is 5:30 in the morning. If you're watching this and it's Sunday the 17th, and it's before 5:30 in the morning, then this is what we're about to draw. So stick around, we'll get right on it. But for those of us who have been here this morning, that wraps up the show. Thank you so much for joining me. You know, I look forward to this every day. I run down the stairs and I get to art with my besties. It holds me accountable to my art practice. If you haven't noticed, there's a pinned comment in the chat, and it's in the description below the video. If you're not watching the live video, in the description there's a link to the community pages, and the community pages has all of the pictures. So if you'd like to draw along, if you'd like to show me your version of this particular gnome playing an accordion, or any of the other things I've done, all the photographs are there on my community page. So feel free to look at them, draw them, and if you do so, tag me. I'd like to see them. That said, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure and tune in tomorrow. Same Artistic Biker time, same Artistic Biker channel. And then we dance. We dance till somebody says they see me dancing. Because when they see me dancing, that means the lag has caught up with the stream. It gives you time to click the clicky things around. And so you can subscribe, you can look at other videos, and the lag is caught up, and I won't be